Hello, welcome back, Steve Allen. Rance's biological brother began to speak up, not loudly, but with the kind of weight that only comes from grief mixed with suspicion. During a quiet Facebook Live, Steve hinted that not everything being told to the public or even the family lined up with the facts. He spoke of decisions made without full consent, of being asked not to push for answers, and of medical results that felt incomplete. The autopsy, he said, was rushed. The paperwork finalizing his cause of death came too fast, before all the tests could be processed. That's when the questions began to build. Why the rush? Why wasn't the family informed fully? And most unsettling of all, who made the call to seal those records from public view? That's only the beginning. It turns out that shortly after Bishop Allen's passing, whispers began to circulate at Heartland ProMedica Hospital, the very place he died. A nurse who had reportedly cared for him during his final hours suddenly vanished. She stopped showing up to work and her belongings were cleared out. One deleted post from someone claiming to be a hospital insider alleged that this nurse had noticed discrepancies in Rance's medical chart. The entries didn't match up vital signs, medication logs, even the time of death. According to the post, she'd been told to stay silent or face consequences. Then she was gone. No explanation. No trace. Family members tried reaching out to her but were met with silence. Steve Allen, still reeling from the loss of his brother, tried to get the hospital records himself. He was told they had been archived and sealed by the family. But Steve swears no such request came from him or his relatives. Someone else made that decision, and they weren't speaking up. That led to the darker theories. People started wondering if Rance Allen was silenced, if his death had less to do with health and more to do with power, politics, and secrets. Before his death, Rance had been working on something personal and powerful, a memoir. But not just a life story. It was meant to be an expose, an unfiltered look at the gospel industry, church corruption, and deep-rooted issues that few dared to discuss publicly. According to insiders and even Steve Allen, Rance had grown weary of the direction the gospel world was taking. He believed it was becoming too commercialized, losing its spiritual core. He was ready to speak out not just about others, but about his own experiences, the betrayals, the manipulations, and the spiritual battles. He had voice memos, written drafts, and even video testimonies prepared. But none of it made it to the public. The tablet where the memoir had been stored, wiped clean. The files? Erased, not missing. The only people with access during his final days were hospital staff and close family, and then there's the voice memo. Steve found it on Rance's phone, a haunting 2-minute message labeled "Final Words 2", recorded just 3 days before he entered the hospital. In the audio, Rance starts with a prayer but quickly moves into something far more disturbing. He talks about being approached by unexpected people, warned to stay silent, pressured to back off. He says plainly that if something happens to him, it wasn't God, it was people pretending to be. The message ends with an eerie warning that his death wouldn't be natural. Steve tried to share it with news outlets, but none would touch it. Even legal steps to publish the memoir posthumously were blocked by a cease and desist letter sent to Rance's attorney. It didn't come from family. It was traced to a religious legal entity tied to a powerful church organization. Things grew even more alarming when a funeral home worker made a now-deleted Facebook post claiming that the cause of death listed on the prep sheet wasn't natural at all. Screenshots spread quickly, and though the post vanished, the damage was done. People started asking why no medical examiner's report was ever made public. Why didn't fans, supporters, or even some family members get clarity? And why would someone risk legal action to keep a book from being published? More details began to leak. A former news producer anonymously admitted that there had been behind-the-scenes pressure to bury the story. There were mentions of external trauma on the body inconsistent with a simple surgical procedure. The timeline from death to funeral prep was unusually short, less than 18 hours, an anomaly in cases involving public figures. All signs pointed to something being hidden, and then another revelation. Just 1 week before his hospitalization, Rance had participated in a confidential church meeting virtually due to COVID-19. It was labeled a crisis mediation session, organized to address his planned disclosures. Reportedly, tensions flared during the call. especially between Rance and a longtime public ally, a senior bishop. Heated words were exchanged, and Rance left the meeting early. Within days, he was struggling to breathe. Within a week, he was gone. Steve later wrote in a post that has since been deleted, "Something broke in Rance that day. His spirit wasn't the same. He saw the truth, and the truth scared him."